say hello, warm welcome to my prolific, prodigious brother, my brother from another mother, Mr. Niko House. By the way, before I let you start, bro,
What's up?
the locks, they just work, bro.
Oh,
They
my
just
dreads.
work.
Oh yeah, man. No, I definitely. So I had dreadlocks before, right? While I was in college, and then funny enough, because I had started working for the Bernie Sanders campaign, I just didn't have enough time to go and get them twisted anymore. Because that my hair was thicker than it is now. It would take like 3-4 hours, and when you go to UNC and you're working for a campaign and you're running, you're the acting state director for said campaign, just didn't have enough time to do it. But told myself I'd never do it again. I'd never cut my hair again. I cut my hair too much. I felt like I lost my superpowers when I cut them. I'm not even joking. Like I couldn't hit jump shots in the gym anymore. I played soccer too. I was shanking my PKs. I was like, yo, what happened? My friend's like, you cut your dreads, man. That's what happened. But we back,
Yeah. I mean, my thing is like the hair maintenance, man. I'm a low maintenance guy, and so for me, it's like whether you get it cut like me or whether you have locks like you. The thing is, like, you have to keep it maintenance in order for it to be good. And my thing is, like, I'm a low maintenance guy. Part of me is thinking about just chopping all mine off and look like a mini Suge Knight,
Yeah. Well, so believe it or not, despite popular belief, I am actually a fairly low maintenance person to the point where I do my own hair. So it isn't like I
Oh,
go like, yeah, I do my own hair. In fact, I'm like, if I didn't have a bunch of stuff to do today, and like I'm obviously in the process of moving to a different country, I would have been doing it. I'm about 3-4 days past due. I do my hair every month.
okay. Well, look, we do what we can when we can do it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I promise you, it's way. They be taxing for twisting dreads because not everybody wants dreads, so they'll tax you for that. And plus, I don't know if they're gonna twist it the right way. I got my own little special, all natural concoction. I don't go to CVS and get you little gels that they be putting together, little jellies that dry your hair out. I use my jojoba oil and my mint oil and my THC oils and my vitamin E. I got my own little concoction that I put together to keep
I
it
got
healthy.
my tea tree that I use in my hair.
Yep, tea tree oil too.
Yep, and I use extra
Coconut.
virgin olive oil. That's it.
I got the Jamaican castor oil. Yeah, extra virgin olive oil. Yeah, all that. Got to, man.
Yeah.
I got my hair's wild. My hair actually grows really fast. I mean, for those of you who have watched me before, y'all probably remember when I had an afro about 2.5 years ago. And then like when I first twisted my dreads last year around October, no, excuse me, the year before last, so 2021, it was around October. My dreads are like up to here, and now they're back here. So it just, but I would never cut them. I would never cut them again. I love my hair. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, they're a beautiful expression of what's a part of us. So
Yeah. And now apparently it's actually okay for people to have long hair, which is wild because when I was growing up, I was always told it's unprofessional for black men to have dreadlocks and long hair. And then the man bun came out, and then it was all of a sudden attractive and it's business casual. And I'm like, oh, so I guess we can have dreads again. That's cool.
Well, actually, you know what? And this is a little tidbit about me. And I think this goes according to that Eurocentric type of mindset that, that colonialism puts on you. And I used to be of the mindset that I used to think of, of locks as dirty and unkept. And I used to view them as just, something that, was unattractive.
You know what that is? I mean, it's partially Eurocentric. That's also because you grew up in the South or you grew up somewhere in the Midwest. That's usually that's Christian parents that's Southern Christian. Because my grandma was like that, and my mom was like that, and my mom was like that because she got it from my grandma. And until my grandma saw my dreads, actually, funny enough, before she passed away, she gave my dreads her seal of approval. She said, I don't like dreads, baby. They look good on you. You look handsome with that hair. I said, all right. That's good enough for me, Grandma. You ain't got to like everybody else as long as you like mine. I'm good with it.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's just, one of the things that I I'm trying to, get past is that decolonization in your mind. You know what I'm saying? That
Mm-hmm.
is something that I'm trying to grow past. So, I mean, I've learned, now to appreciate more parts of myself. It's almost as if the ancestors are speaking to me. You know what I mean? So,
You know what? That's it's difficult too, especially when you're in media, man. It's we're taught that you're supposed to dress a certain way, and then of course when you add the reality that we're black men in this particular space, if you do not dress a certain way, then you already start handicapped, and then you're kind of handicapping yourself even further as far as the perception of you works, right? And I kind of dressed a little bit, I guess what some people would call flamboyantly, even like when I first started, and that was still kind of like semi-casual for me. And to be honest with you, I feel like I didn't even hit my stride until I just stopped giving a fuck and like I want to dress how I feel and how I look, like how I look to me, how I feel to me, and what I feel comfortable in. Um, and people at first, kind of were like, who is this kid and why is he talking about politics and with earrings and dreadlocks and open up shirt? I'm like, well, this is how I dress, man. This is how I dress when I go out. This is how I dress when I'm at political events. This is how I dress when I go out to eat dinner. This is how I fucking dress. I feel comfortable in this. You know what I'm saying? But when I felt comfortable dressing how I felt,
yeah,
you feel more comfortable being, who you are, and that's when you are operating at peak capacity as far as this media game that we play.
sure. Yeah. And I think that's a really good lesson for a lot of us to keep in mind. I appreciate that. One of the things that I wanted to jump on and get your opinion about is there was a recent news about Meta. And of course, to anybody who's watching knows that Meta is the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and other different applications. And uh, they're doing a layoff. And I'm
Mhm.
going to show you guys.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the second set of layoffs, isn't it?
This is the second set of layoffs. Yes.
Mhm.
In fact, here's an article here out of Barron's that talks about it. This actually came out. This came out about a day ago, and says Meta's layoffs are just a drop in the bucket. These companies cut more, and it talks about not just Meta doing layoffs, but it says Meta, Facebook's parent, said that last week that it will cut 10,000 jobs and cancel 5,000 unfiled openings. These cuts come less than 6 months after the company disclosed 11,000 layoffs in November, as CEO Mark Zuckerberg seeks to make the business more efficient. Of course, a robot will want to make things
We
more efficient.
broke is what no seeks to make it more. We broke. Say it. Just go ahead and say it, bro. Y'all put all that money into that virtual reality bullshit that look like a Sims game, not like one of the Sims game on PlayStation, like the Sims game on your cell phone, like not even Roller Coaster Tycoon. Like it was horrible, and they invested all this money. And once again, what I find the the biggest issue is about all this is they knew that this crash was coming. I don't care if it wasn't being explicitly, disclosed by the Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal is still saying that the economy's fine. That's what the Wall
Yeah.
Street Journal is there to do. It's supposed to be they're supposed to be there for damage control.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Zuckerberg, his board, his investors, they know the same way that I know. And I've been saying, hell, I think the last time I came on your show, I said March 2023, the economy is crashing.
Mm.
I have been saying this for 2 years. I
Mm.
didn't say November 2023. I didn't say October 2022. I said March 2023. The economy is going to crash. And there's a few reasons for why I can tell you that it was going to crash. One, like this year instead of last year. One, nobody is going to turn in bad numbers for the last quarter. It's just how it goes. They'll inject whatever money they have to. They'll skew the numbers and manipulate them so that their shareholders don't pull out. So it isn't going to be in the first quarter either, because people are still making predictions on the first quarter based off the last quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually the chickens come home to roost. So there's that. But two, I was able to tell the same way Goldman Sachs and those guys are able to tell, in the same way literally the entire world is able to tell. The United States real estate market is trash. The number one way to accrue wealth in the United States is through real estate. This is why redlining is such a big deal. This is why FDR's New Deal, which literally took buying power away from Black people, is such a massive deal. This is how families get split up. What's the number one cause of divorce? Finances. The number one cause of arguments. Finances. Lack of education or lack of funding education. Finances, because you don't have a house to pay that 93% property tax that goes into the school system. So on the other side of that fence, what does it mean when no one can afford to buy a house? What does it mean whenever you have properties that are up for quote unquote rent that are obscenely priced that, yeah, rich people can afford, but if I'm a rich person, I would hope I have an accountant. And if I'm that rich, I would hope my accountant is at least decent. And if they're decent, they will tell you, why would you buy that property, bro? Why would you rent that property when you own a nice property already and you can't get a return on that investment for paying that much to rent something? So everyone who could afford to rent that type of stuff, they already have property and they can afford to sit back and chill and wait until the prices come down. So then the market becomes totally stagnant. And then people start to make predictions based off the stagnation of that market. So then the investments start freezing up. That's what happens. And then when the government isn't there to bail people out on time or bail the banks out on time, we end up at this conclusion. The 11,000 that they dropped in November was because Facebook knew then what I know now. And yet they still these bad. They knew then what I know, and apparently, obviously, they know now that they didn't want to hurt the outcome of their fourth quarter numbers, or their fourth quarter stocks too badly, so they only did the 11,000. So it's not that bad. But they were always planning on doing these other 10,000. It was always planning on like that. But that's just how they do it. It's the stock market is frivolous. It's fake. It's not real. It's another attempt. It's another control. It's another way to gaslight people into believing something is legitimate when it is not. Or else it wouldn't crash right on damn cue almost every 10 to 12 years either. So there's that part.
Yeah. I mean, hell, was it Dr. Richard Wolff said every 4 to 7 years we're typically supposed to have a crash, according to this type of
some type of crash every 4 to 7 years, but there's always that big one where the banks really hit rock bottom and people can't pull money out their accounts anymore type crash every about 8 to 12 years on schedule. And we have all these damn economists, bro. Isn't it so wild? You know what I mean? People, I went to school at University of North Carolina, and we have such an effective economic program that we actually were able to create this major that was only taught, I think, at UNC in Georgetown called, if I'm not mistaken, PPE. Yeah, politics, philosophy, and economics. It was a triple degree, but you get it in one.
Oh.
And so there are a lot of PhDs in econ. We got all these damn PhDs, all these damn economists, and none of y'all can figure out how to not make the market crash. All these businessmen, you got to have an MBA to get this particular job in this bank. You got to have an MBA to get this job in this corporation. You got all these MBAs, all these economists, all these PhDs, and no one can figure out how to not make the market crash. Nobody.
Well, for me, it sounds like they're just people who teach you how to drive a car that's about to break down instead of fixing the car that's about to break down.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're teaching you how to drive a car that's about to break down.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so when you stop at a stoplight, you got to put it in neutral and keep it in neutral so then it doesn't break down right there. And just in case if it doesn't, I'm starting to sound like Tracy Morgan. When it doesn't start to break down right there, you see, then you got to put it back in drive. And then once you put it in drive, then you got to ease on the accelerator.
Yep, they're teaching you how to. Everybody who's like, especially if you're from the hood, you've had the hoopty, right? You got to carry water in your passenger seat just in case. You got to keep a tank of oil because your thing leaking. It may not leak anything that day, but then all your oil might be out in the Walmart parking lot the next day. Like all of that happens. And you know it's going to happen. But hey, man, still got to get from point A to point B. That is literally the way I would describe the job that these economists and these bankers and these MBAs, all these quote unquote professionals handle the economy. They don't teach you they don't teach the US or people who run the US how to build a successful economy. They say, we already know the outcome. We're just trying to get as much money as we can on the way there. That's it.
Knowing
my apologies, by the way, if my internet, then I'm in Brazil for everybody who's curious, and I don't have my, I'm at an Airbnb, don't have any Ethernet cable at the moment. So if anything is off, that's why. But we're working on it. Still getting settled down, peace, but we good.
Of course. But, one of my things I wanted to ask you, because you just brought, something up at, that this is a beginning of a crash. Where do you think the mark start has happened? Because a lot of people are talking about Silicon Valley Bank, which I reported on last week. What do you think was the official start?
Well, you can make an argument the official start was the beginning of the pandemic, right? Like officially, because the markets crashed. Well, hell, if you really want to make an argument, you could say that legitimately the official start was 2008 because we never recovered from 2008. If you want to keep it a band, right? Because the people who lost their jobs, they were, unfortunately, close to the age I am now. I'm 34 years old. So I would say between about 34 and 45, those professionals lost their jobs and lost their salaries and lost their homes. They never returned back to those salaries. Most of them didn't. The middle class, the 80 grand, that, to 120 grand that worked in Silicon Valley, those people never got that salary for whatever job they were doing again. They were bankrupt for at least 7 years, but it takes a while. It takes a couple of years for you to get to the point of being bankrupt. Okay. Which is like a problem because that's what. So if the crash happened in 2008, 2018 would have been about the 10-year mark, but you probably got about 2 to 3 years where you were just floating around trying to figure things out, living off of your savings. Most of those people. So I would say probably about 12, 13-year turnaround. None of those people recovered, and they were the backbone of the economy. Okay, so they didn't get new homes. They haven't began to invest to the degree that they were able to invest before. That's a huge section of the population, right? Yeah. Now we have a bunch of kids. Those people got house debt and all kinds of crazy debt going on behind the scenes. And now we got our generation. They're paying off student loans.
Yeah.
So they can't buy homes. They don't got it. Broke by broke. Broke by broke. We ain't got it. That's basically my whole generation. Kanye was a little bit too accurate with that skit, by the way. I was listening to it the other day, and I was literally laughing because of how sadly and upsettingly true it was. But we have college debt. Cars are more expensive, easier to get, but more expensive because interest rates are higher because we have college debt. You're not inheriting the home that you would have once inherited prior to the 2008 crash because your parents lost your home and you've probably been renting for the most part, or they've probably been renting, living from house to house, moving every 2 to 3 years. Living probably, I guess, at that point, like the average Black family has lived for the majority of the last several decades. Because you did not inherit that home, you cannot in turn flip that home at some point, whether it's to take a second mortgage out, whatever, to create new wealth. of some kind to start a business, whatever. So now you are having to go after spending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on whatever job or excuse me, whatever degree you got. Now you're going to have to go into that bubble of $40,000 to $50,000 a year salary, where your dad and your mom would have got $80,000 to $90,000 a year. So you're making less than what they were making for doing the same type of work when the inflation is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And this
but it's
started
also being absorbed.
Say what?
It's being absorbed by the people at the top.
Yeah, exactly. And a little bit of profits that are being absorbed by the people at the top. So it's like not like they couldn't make more salary. They could, 100%. Like, but in what's crazy is it's not like I'm causing the inflation. It's not like you're causing the inflation. We don't have enough money to cause that kind of inflation. We don't have enough influence to cause that kind of inflation. Like legitimately so. It's the people at the top. It's BlackRock buying up all these properties that no one can afford. After causing the first crash, they literally are causing the second crash. And guess what they're about to do? Because I told people also, I said, the reality is, if you're going to buy a home, or if you're planning on, especially if you're planning on renting, don't do it until late March, early April. I've been telling people this because the prices are going to plummet, and they've already begun to plummet, especially in the major cities like Miami, New York, California, especially California. I've never seen, man, you go on Hulu right now, you got advertisements trying to convince people to move to LA. Bro, when I was growing up, that was the dream. That was like, if you could get to LA, like that, people's plan was LA first, New York's my backup plan. And I'll settle for, anything else is a distant third. Now it's Miami for other reasons, but mostly because it's tax-free. It's because it's to save money and get some of the same benefits as you would to go to New York. But you got LA literally trying to get people to come and buy homes there.
Well, a lot of them left, so and went to Texas.
They went to Texas and Florida, tax-free. Tax-free,
yeah. Of course, I'm in Orlando. I know.
I'm not mad at it. I tell people all the time. People say, "Oh man, they should be paying more tax." First of all, I'll be damned. I do not support paying income tax. Why? Because I do not support military-industrial complex, and I do not support bailouts for corporations, and I do not support bailout for banks, and I do not support giving raises to the same Congress people who literally let us die during the pandemic. I mean, literally had the money to bail us out. And in a plethora of different ways, whether it be through small businesses, whether it be through, they should have been grant-free PPPs, or excuse me, loan-free, interest-free grants for these PPP loans. And they should have been given to every single adult in this country. Not the little $2,000, $3,000, whatever the hell they gave us. I'm talking about there should have been $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. We should have come out better on the other side of the pandemic. Not even average, not worse, not better. Why? Because that's what would be best for the country. Duh.
Yeah, of course.
Like, duh.
Yo, Niko, say it louder for the people in the back. I'm telling you right now, because the thing is that, people are literally, dying out here, and yet you got people who have yachts for their yachts.
Literally, that's not hyperbole. I live in Miami. That's a real thing. It's like people say like, oh, that's quote unquote socialism. First of all, let me just be very clear about something. For anybody who doesn't know that, I'm not a socialist. I'm not a capitalist. I am a self-described nothing, I guess. I just practice common sense. I believe in a lot of socialist principles, though, like what people would call socialist principles, the real ones, because the caricature of socialism that a lot of these quote unquote conservatives and neoliberals will try to point out, say, we don't want to be socialist. I'm like, what you mean? Like, I don't know, literally sucking all the money out of the fucking bottom 97, 98, 99% and giving it to the 1% while everybody else suffers and dies? That kind of social, man, that's crazy. Wouldn't want that to happen. Right? You don't want, but here in the States, we call it capitalism. That's what we call it. That's literally what we call it. And I am so sick of this idea that that's crony capitalism. That's crony capitalism. Bro, give me an example whenever it wasn't fucking crony capitalism, bro. Just give me one example when this idea of capitalism that you seem to believe capitalism is, this fair competition, free market, et cetera, when has that ever existed?
Like, man, you can go back to the Carnegies and you know, the Rockefellers, and they were literally monopolists. That's in capitalism.
They had to make laws because capitalism wasn't working. They literally had to make laws for it, guys. And it didn't even work, first of all. But so from that point on, how could you claim the reason that they had to make those laws is because you had a few people like Jay, you know, you nor I, at that point in the history of the United States, we could have never been Carnegie, JP Morgan. Literally, we could have never been those guys, no matter how successful we had the potential to be. Why? Because we were not white. We were not allowed to own land. So how could we have built the business 60 years prior to the monopolization of those industries that could have grown to the point of being able to monopolize those industries when we literally were not allowed to own land? There's no Sally Sue or Mary Jane out there who could have been the next Carnegie or JP Morgan at that time. Why? Because they were not allowed to own land. They weren't allowed to vote either. Okay. How is that free market capitalism? Please explain that to me. How is that free market? So that because of the limitation of those who had access to that opportunity, you came out the gate a caricature, the caricature that they portray as of socialism, where all the effort, the labor, the lack of opportunity, and the benefits that came from that all went to a few people. How was that free market? How is that fair competition? That's not even kind of fair. That's not even competition. Because, well, that's because they lied to y'all about what the definition of capitalism is. Because they know y'all would just believe whatever the fuck they tell y'all. Because that's the United States, right? It was never about creating competition. It's about destroying it. It's about destroying it. So people don't want to. They didn't want us to come out better. But some people came out better on the other end of the pandemic. Okay, why are you upset about that? If you own a business, don't you want people to be able to shop there? Don't you want consumers? Don't we need consumers? Like we remember when they injected all that money into the economy, into the stock market, not the economy, my apologies, the stock market. They injected all of it and it hit record highs. And I remember I kept saying to myself, yo, real quick, I called my friend. She's very successful, has a huge business, unemployment risk manager. Very, very. I said, hey, question. How can they be hitting record stocks if no one has money to buy anything? She was like, because it's not real and it's going to come crashing. I said, okay, I just want to make sure I'm not crazy. I just wanted to make sure. And of course, that's what happened. Mm-hmm. So we need money to legitimize the frivolousness of the stock market. It's the same way with the petrodollar, right? People are like, we're a sovereign currency. We have a sovereign currency. No, we don't. You have the petrodollar. We have to at least look like we have fucking money. At least look like it. We don't even have the ability to say that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to give. I knew you were gonna go off. This is one of the things I love.
My bad, man. Look, y'all know I ain't been able to talk in a while, man. Got a lot to get off my chest. Got a lot to get off my chest.
Say it with your whole chest, baby. All right, so this actually goes deeper. It talks more about all the other ones. So it talks about staffing at Humana. It's a declined by nearly 1/3 last year as healthcare provider divested part of its business. Employees working for the affected segments were moved from Humana to a separate entity.
Hold on, you say it again? They divested from their employees? Is that what they say?
Basically, the first paragraph says
very new and exciting ways to say we fired these motherfuckers. Yeah, we couldn't afford them, so we fired them. We divested from their employees.
So it says more companies have disclosed layoffs this year. and a few openings are still available, although it's important to note that layoffs aren't the only reason for changes in employee headcount. Spinoffs or sales of parts of the business could also lead to significant drops in staff numbers. Staffing at Humana declined by nearly 1/3 last year as healthcare provider divested part of its businesses. Employees working for the affected segments were moved from Humana to a separate entity. What in the hell is a separate entity, though? That's my question.
Couch. Their couch. The IKEA sofa department in their home. That's what the separate entity is. I mean,
damn.
Can you believe it, Jay? When people don't have jobs, they can't afford healthcare.
God,
that's wild. It's simple math. People don't have jobs, so they can't afford healthcare. So now people, ironically, in the healthcare industry, they can't afford them. They can't afford to pay the healthcare workers or health insurance agents. And now the health insurance agents don't have healthcare because they can't afford it either. So it's kind of ironic, right? Because now you're actually about to lose even more business.
Yeah. And then on top of this, it talks about AIG. It says they lost 10,000 people. They fired 10,000 people out of 36,000, a 28% cut.
I bet a CEO got a bonus though. I guarantee it. I don't even know, but probably.
Yeah. And then McDonald's, they lost 25%. They went to 150,000, so 50,000 workers.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I call bullshit on that one. Bro, I ain't seen a day in my life where McDonald's ain't full. They're remodeling in Miami. They're freshly remodeling like 2 or 3. Also, McDonald's is like a franchise. They're franchised. So like you close based off of the success or lack thereof of your individual franchise. If McDonald's, like most of these companies, but especially McDonald's, chose to close or fire, 50,000 workers, it was specifically and exclusively because of what you wanted your numbers to look like to your shareholders. Not because you could not afford to pay them, but because you wanted your numbers to look better this quarter than last quarter. Yeah. You wanted to beat predictions.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the instant gratification. That's what that's the stock market. It has to be about instant gratification. Because if you predict it out and that was how you made your decision making, then you might realize that the moment you become an IPO, your business becomes like markedly worse. It's 100%. It is like one of the rules of investing, starting a business. The moment you become an IPO, your quality drops immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's all about making the numbers look good for shareholders. And McDonald's is not suffering, bro. I live in Brazil. I just left McDonald's. They got, by the way, y'all, if you ever come to Brazil, they got options that you would have never even thought existed. You would almost think that McDonald's in America think we're stupid, like we don't deserve options like they got out here. We got like 20 damn sandwiches to choose from. I just had a McChicken with some special sauce that they made here. It was only in Brazil. Bro, during the World Cup, they had a damn sandwich for every team in the World Cup. They're fine. They made a lot of money. They did, I promise you. But they have to make things look nice for their shareholders so that they stick around for that next quarter, or so that they make it known to those, especially the major shareholders, hey man, we're gonna take care of y'all, even if we have to screw these people over.
Telling you.
Hey man, doing a great job, bro. That's what I heard. Yeah. I remember once upon a time, Jay, I was called a racist and a neo-Nazi supporter and a neo-Nazi actually for not voting for Joe Biden and for telling people that I would never. He's a doctor, so he's not lying. That's what I was told during our debate. That that's borderline neo-Nazi propaganda.
Wait! Hold up! For not voting for the friend of the segregationist, you are considered
a friend of the segregationist. Motherfucker, he is a segregationist. Yeah. It would be nice. It would be. Look, Trump is the friend of segregation. Biden is the legislator of segregation. He literally legislated it before.
Yeah,
So it's
who in the hell? Who in their right mind? What?
in the way you know why he's getting away with it, Jay. And we talked about this before. He's getting away with it because the time to hold him accountable was while he was running for office.
Yeah.
That was when, so he would have known everybody is watching every single move that you make. But he like Bernie at this point, he knows that now there's too many jobs. Y'all invested in me. There's too many jobs that have been created from my cloud, essentially. The people who could have the influence to hold me accountable rely too much on them looking like they were right about me in my presidency to pay their bills. So they can't turn back now.
I mean, this even goes to some people who are in quote unquote independent media.
Oh yeah, 100%. I know quote unquote independent. That's a different conversation. That's the majority. Wow. That's a majority now. I do gotta give a shout out to Revolutionary Blackout Network because listen, y'all been handling business while I was gone, man. Everybody knows I took a hiatus away. I was dealing with family stuff, getting my mental health back right. And I quite frankly just needed a break because Lord Jesus, the drama for reasons I don't even really understand half the time. I'm like, well, all I did was just say what I read on the screen. It was right there. I didn't make it up. It's right there. And people get upset by it. Whatever, it's cool. But while I was gone, our RBN really held it down and was willing to say what needed to be said, while a lot of other people were hiding. They were hiding. When I say hiding, I don't mean that they were literally hiding. I mean like they've been pussyfooting, trying to, instead of calling out Biden, they're still running to what Republicans are doing with all that power they have right now. Like they tried to shift to these fringe quote unquote social culture war issues because it's easy to play morally righteous rather than get down to the crux of how these problems originate and how they start. Like y'all really handled business, and like just personally seeing where y'all are now versus where y'all started, it gave me a lot of hope that mainstream media independent media eventually is going to be all right. And that people are starting to take not like quote unquote independent voice seriously, Black independent voices seriously. Because I know that the liberals always say that shit. Representation matters. No. Substantive representation matters when you're right and you learn from your experiences. That's the whole sentence. They don't say that part though. And you had so many people on there that learned from their experiences when they were wrong, could admit it, grew from that, took that, activated, organized. I know that people were at rallies all weekend, last weekend. The ones who ain't at rallies still doing shows, calling people out, being consistent, calling out Biden, calling out Trump, calling out the establishment, being anti-war all the time instead of being anti-war when it's convenient. I just want to say that, I'm sure y'all hear it all the time now, but personally, I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed watching y'all's journey as it's unfolded so far, man. I'm excited to see how y'all handle business this election too, for sure.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot. Because you were one of the first that I noticed in the independent media space. And my biggest regret is I didn't pay enough attention to you. That's my biggest regret. And so I just appreciate you. So thank you. That means a lot.
It was not hard to do, man. It's like you get buried for being right and being Black. I'm going to tell you a secret, Jay. Well, I guess in your entire audience. Well, how much time we got left? Oh, yeah, we got time. Got 3 minutes. So I used to go speak at this event. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but I used to speak at this event a couple times a year. And the event was actually created so that voices from the left and the right could get together and debate, converse, engage in discourse where everybody's still friends after, but we all hear everybody's opinion and it's supposed to be civilized. I debated Destiny after it was like a highly requested event. Plus, I don't like the guy, and I embarrassed him. This is the year after Fiorella embarrassed him. Actually, you know what? So the leftists or the independent leftists that invite me there every year have made the same request, and they were told that Niko is too crazy. And I was like, huh? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't really mind being called crazy, but I do need the details. So and the way they describe, I'm like, hold up, no, that sounds like actually Destiny and this person, and this person a little bit crazier than I am for sure, and they're all wrong. So I was like, hold up, am I saying something that's factually incorrect or something? He said, oh no, that's not it. He said, that's not it. I was like, well, if I'm not wrong, and I'm nowhere near as crazy as these people that they keep inviting back, then I'm confused. I need for you to break this down to me because I don't like to jump to conclusions. You know what I'm saying? You know what happens when you assume and shit. So I need you to explain this to me. He said, you know why, man? He says, it's not because you're wrong. It's because you're right and you're black. And you're right and black when you're going up against these guys. And they have bigger Twitch audiences. They have bigger this or, bigger that, and mostly just bigger egos. So it's like, whether or not I'm going up against conservative or quote unquote leftist or liberal, you're right way too much. And the whole crowd, and basically I was being punished because of how much crowd control I would have during the process. I was like, hold up. So you're telling me that they would rather hurt the brand, like literally hurt the business of what they're doing, the bottom line, just so I don't bruise somebody else's ego? Yeah. Because literally, and I'm sure that somebody has experienced this at some point or have seen this at some point, they will rather hurt their bottom line than to have a black person come and be right in their space and be the authority in their space. That is reality. Now, I actually kind of like laughed about it. I was like, whatever, that's fine with me. I don't really care. I only care from a kind of like, this is why we don't see more of this. Because it was all well and good whenever it was like, oh, wow, we didn't see this guy coming. He's really interesting perspective. He's really unique. Yeah, no, but I'll be right, motherfucker. Like, I know what I'm talking about. And when you got the conservatives being like, dog, shit, I'm not a leftist, man, but you making a lot of sense. Like, you got the conservatives dapping Fee up for going in on Destiny, from embarrassing him with leftist perspective. That's a problem. Even for the leftists, the white male leftists who want to monopolize space.
Yeah.
They want us to pussyfoot and tiptoe. And y'all don't do it. And it's taken a while for somebody else other than me not to do it. And that's why I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I look, this space is very white. It just is. And so I think this is one of the reasons why, RBN was able to carve out almost a lane. It was like you traced the carve out, and then we came in and went behind you.
Pulled that thing down, bro. Y'all did.
Yeah.
Y'all did. In your own unique ways, all of you guys. And I know Roman Rome, he doesn't have his own show, but I know he'd be on there like, man, that boy, whew. I don't know how Rome ain't tired, dog. He always doing something. He's always in the damn street doing something or building something.
Man, that man made me so tired when he was down here. Man, look at me. This is how I still feel after Rome came down here. This man got so much energy. I'm like, and he had smoked some herb right before, and I'm like, how are you moving, bro?
Rome the type of dude. He smoked.
And he just gone. And it's all just helping people, feeding people, You want to gas?
And people think it's an act, dog. I'm like, nah, this Rome is dead ass serious, bro. I was like, y'all think he's pretending to always be helping people?
Serious,
I said,
bro.
do you know how much energy it would take to pretend to always be helping people this much? Every day? I'm like, this motherfucker literally got 50 pizzas from Lil. Y'all think this man is so dedicated to his ego that he went and got 50 pizzas from Little Caesars and pretended to feed homeless people? Like, at that point, shit, I hope everybody pretend to help people if that's going to be the result. So, like, shout out to Rome, and of course, it's Nick and just everybody, Sab, everybody at the RBN, and everybody else who's up and coming. Like I said, all I ask is just keep paying for it, keep putting people on, keep helping people grow their platform, and every time I get that opportunity to get a bigger microphone, let the world know what it actually is rather than what they want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I thank you so very much. And look, I don't want to, there's some other stuff that I want to talk about, but we'll get to some of these other issues next time.
Yeah, I'll come back on soon. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because there were some things that I wanted to cover with Tucker Carlson.
Oh, I forgot about Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, man.
Well,
I'll cover that afterwards, but yeah, man, Tucker Carlson says some things, and I'm like, he's still alive?
You know what? His problem is low key. He said, you know how he be towing that line? Even for conservatives, even with that platform, there's a limited hangout spot. You can get away with only so much. And he might be wrong 90% of the time, but when he's right that 10% of the time, he's saying too much, with too much accuracy from too much experience.
Yeah.
That's why it's a problem. And I think that even though I think he still has the most popular show on Fox. They keep doing these little trials where it seems like they are trying to replace him or he is trying to escape. Right? Like, are you getting that feeling too? Because there are people even taking over his shows. There've been a lot of people like coming in and doing his shows. And they keep trying to push. Go ahead.
Well, I don't watch Fox, or I don't watch any corporate media at all, but I
hear about it through the grapevine, through the timeline, and especially when they're comparing ratings, which is funny because they said people that come on to substitute for Tucker Carlson still do better numbers than Rachel Maddow. That's wild, but that's embarrassing too, by the way. So a substitute teacher getting better results than you, that's a problem. But my point is that even Tucker, he looks at, because I've always remember what I said, like, bro, you look at somebody like Russell Brand. I look at Russell Brand, I'm like, what if you're Van Jones, for example, what the fuck are you doing? Look at Russell Brand. Yeah. Russell Brand is more famous than Van Jones now. In politics, there are people who exist in the world, kids probably, right now, who don't even know Russell Brand's a comedian and an actor. They just know him from politics.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, what are you doing, Van Jones? You're actually, because I can't sympathize a little bit as a black man who feels the need to take care of your family because a generation of trauma and poverty has been thrown on your shoulders, and this wind has been pushed at your back for you to be a successful person, and you built up a certain life. I can truly sympathize with that. But now we're talking about bottom line shit, and I'm literally we got plenty of examples of people who said, "What am I doing, bro? Let me go get this Russell Brand money. Let me go get these Tulsi Gabbard opportunities. Let me be like Kim Iverson, lead multiple syndicated radio shows. Boy, Kim is giving the middle finger to so many people and has literally never been more successful. Like, Jimmy Dore's giving the middle finger to so many people and literally never been more successful. So now at this point, if you have that type of platform, you're making the conscious decision to aid and abet the empire. And at that point, I have no sympathy or empathy for you.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows the empire sucks. And anybody who says the empire sucks publicly and does, everything substantively against the empire, guess what? The people are going to support you rather than the empire.
Yep. Even the ones who may not support everything you say. Like, obviously, I have conservatives who may not like 90% of the things I say about social issues, social justice issues. but they'll listen to that other 5% I say about the economy. Why? Well, because I know at least Niko ain't lying. I know Niko ain't trying to actively aid the empire, even if I might disagree with him on this thing. They've, because they're conservative. There are people like us, populists, who can say, Tucker Carlson be saying dumbass shit sometimes, but then there's that one time that somebody in the conservative side needed to hear that shit because they weren't going to listen to it necessarily from me because of because I'm a leftist. They weren't going to listen to it from Russell Brand because he's ostensibly a leftist, or maybe even Jimmy Dore, even though they probably will listen to it from Jimmy. But it's good that Tucker said this for that old head conservative who only watches Fox News and only that is because he's speaking out against the empire. You have a brand. It's like your bottom line. You can make money. If that's your concern, you can survive off of being honest now. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Trust me, I have been waiting for a long time for it to get to this point. I promise you. Because it wasn't that fruitful. Everybody right now who's making any kind of money off of being honest, I used to be homeless off of trying to be honest. So leaps and bounds better than where it used to be at. I don't have to dye my hair and marry somebody's like wife or something like that. Start a show with them for me to make money and change everything about me. I don't have to do that to survive. So we're way better than where we used to be. I gotta head up out of here though. Appreciate you, Jay. Oh, Sab, but I see Sab's name pop up.
Yeah.
Shout, what's up, Sab? What's going on? I gotta get on her show too, man. Hit me up, Sab. Love you guys. Appreciate you, Jay.
Hit Niko up. And by the way, all y'all hit Niko up too. All right.
Yeah. Also, really quick before I go, make sure I go on Twitter. I have all the links there. Follow a part of this new media company called Hotspot. That's actually where my For the People podcast will be hosted. I will give it about 2 weeks, hopefully less, but about 2 weeks, only because I have to get internet installed in my little apartment in another country. That's why it's kind of being put off. But 2 weeks, I'll be starting the For the People podcast. There is a special co-host that a lot of people have been asking us to co-host for a long time, and I'm really excited about that. But you can go follow Hotspot at all the links, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff, and it's the links are pinned right now to my Twitter account. I curate content. I'm also the head content creator, and I manage the other content creator that are also going to be part of the company as well. So super excited about that opportunity and excited to be a part of that because it's something that I gotta just get to do for fun. I like media stuff. I like production and all that good stuff, and so it's something where we do a lot of politics, but it's not exclusively politics. So, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you, Jay.
All right. Thanks a lot, Niko. Thanks for coming by, man.
Sure, man. Peace.